Hey, how's it going, guys? My name is Jackie Fish and welcome to Steel Division 2, what I regard as one of the most underrated, criminally underrated strategy games of the current set of video games out there. This game is absolutely spectacular and you definitely need to check it out. If you are at all interested in RTS games, at all interested in World War II, this game definitely has something to offer. If you've never heard of Steel Division 2 before, it is basically a World War II RTS strategy game set on the Eastern Front, which many regard as one of the greatest conflicts that the world has ever seen. And as I said, this game does that justice. You're basically tasked in the game to go ahead and push this battle line back and forth depending on how many troops you have, how many troops the enemy have, and your objective is to go ahead and secure these flags. There are a ton of different game modes. The one I'm playing right now, though, our main objective is to go ahead and secure these flags, and if we hold more than the enemy, we will win the day. As well as that, we are also playing a 10 versus 10, so there are 10 Russian players on my side, or 9 including me, and 10 German players over on the other side. Both sides have gone ahead and picked their battalion, which has a whole range of different weaponry. You can customize these. If you want to go ahead and bring a full tank division, you definitely can with motorized and artillery. That is something that can totally happen. I've gone ahead and gone with more of a infantry-based division. I think I'm playing the 97th Guards Rifles, I think, and I've gone ahead and customized that. I'll go ahead and stick my actual division up on the screen right now. And yeah, the game is absolutely criminally underrated. Right now, the battle is just getting underway. We're just deploying our men, but we will quite quickly jump into the battle, and you guys can just see the sheer scale of this game and just how crazy it is. But yeah, as I was saying, this game is criminally underrated. I can definitely understand why not as many people play this, or at least the game does look kind of intimidating to begin with, because the game is quite punishing and you do have to kind of get yourself stuck in and play a handful of battles before you really get the hang of the game. But once you do, my god, is it rewarding. I mean, just take a look at this battlefield right now. It is absolutely insane. And there you go, the battlefield has started. Everyone is rushing into position, getting their soldiers onto these battle flags. Like I said, the main objective is to hold these flags. You can see that the Russians currently hold 16 and the Germans currently hold 16, and the main objective obviously is to just, you know, hold more than your enemy. The more you hold, the quicker the timer goes down for your victory, as everyone does move into position. And one of the awesome, amazing, exciting things about this game as well is that it is actually combined operations as well. So the awesome thing is that, you know, you're not just using infantry and tanks, you're using infantry, tanks, artillery, planes, you're using AT guns, you're using flamethrowers. You know, this is a ultimate experience, and when you kind of tickle that with 10 players on your side, it just gets absolutely crazy, and all the terrain makes such a big difference. If infantry gets caught out in the open, they're going to get slaughtered. You want to get your soldiers into cover. You want to kind of make sure you have your artillery nice and safe. It's just a very, very insane game, and as I was saying, you can see already the artillery rounds are starting to move in, trying bombing the bridge to stop the enemy come in. And I've been watching a lot of the Starling. Oh my god, look at this! The Russians and the Germans are actually right next to one another, and you can already start to see the fighting erupting in this position right here. TNT being thrown out as well, just destroying a large amount of that Gvardier for the Russians. But I've been watching a ton of the Tick Stalingrad series, and it's been really getting me in the mood to play more World War II battles. And I feel like in Steel Division, you can kind of do a lot of the maneuvers on the battlefield that you see them do in that documentary series. Right now, I'm playing over on this side, and my main objective is to basically move up and take this hill. If we can take this hill, we can kind of focus the enemy position away from the town. As you can see, they have dived in deep into our position here, and they can really, you know, if we can take this bridge, and we can cut off all their armor support into the settlement itself. So our main objective, obviously, as I said, is to try and push up, take this hill, then move across here, cut off this bridge so they can't get any of their support coming into the settlement itself. You can see right now I do have my Gvardier moving up. You can even see the types of weaponry they have as well as they just kind of move through this dense forest. Right now you can see they've got PPSHs, they got the guns, they got 2 DP, 2 machine guns in the squad, and also a light tank killing rifle which is just really, really cool. So yeah, as you can see, I've set up my position up here. We've got some self-propelled... Sorry about that, I was just having a little bit of a stroke. Self-propelled artillery bombarding the enemy settlements and just really trying to get them out of these houses. You can see the Russians are making pretty good progress right now. There's even a T-34 being pushed up inside of the village itself. There is obviously a stew at the end of this though. Obviously this gun is going to be pretty scary. They've got a lot of frontal armor right there as they basically just cover this settlement. So line of sight is also a big thing in the game. If you go ahead and press the V button when you're in battle, you'll see the line of sight from wherever your mouse is. And obviously if you can't see an enemy unit, you can't shoot it. So right now this T-34 can't see that Panzer tank down there or the Panzer T-34 there as well. Neither of these tanks can see one another, but all of a sudden as soon as they kind of come around the corner, then they will be able to. So it's a really important thing. You can see right now this tank can see the enemy Puma and does go down. The KV-1E able to bring that tank down. Very nice indeed. You can see that we have managed to actually secure this position pretty nicely up on the hill, which is very nice. I've gone ahead and reinforced my position. I've got my mortars set up as well to give me some covering fire. And again, the nice thing is that the enemy won't be able to really see my position from up here. You can see because I'm elevated, because I've got the forest in front of me, the majority of my stuff up here is fairly safe from enemy fire. Over on the right hand side as well, you can see there is a heavy mechanized force pinning down my ally as the T-34E does start to duke it out with some of the Panzer IVs over there. There is also some hidden units that we can't quite see right now. Obviously they look like Pumas, but these tanks are going to be shooting in, and unfortunately I think it does end up taking down our T-34. Luckily though, without enough support, the Panzers won't be able to push across this bridge. This entire river area is completely impassable by tanks, so you actually have to, taking these bridges is really important, because without that, the tanks won't be able to get across and really push on our inner points right here. You can see though we do have some AT guns in the forest as well, which have a pretty good vision right there. You can also hear some air going down over on the other side, the German Luftwaffe moving themselves in. And one of the crazy things is about this game as well is just how diverse the maps are as well. Over on this right hand side we've got like a lot of forest. There's like a big old settlement right here, a village that we're fighting over. Then you go over here and it's just like completely open terrain where obviously the tanks and the Panzers will really do a great job, and infantry will just get cut apart and not stand chance. Then you got a big old forested area right here. It does seem that for the most part our allies are kind of struggling over this side. They do have a pretty good setup right here with some AT guns, as the AT gun is currently duking out with what I can only assume is some enemy Panzers in the forest. This AT gun a little bit out in the open, so very vulnerable to artillery and also to air cover, but hopefully they can kind of clear up the enemy tank. It does seem like there is a couple burning Panzers there. There's actually a German T-34 there, which they must have taken. But yeah, taking this objective is very important, because as you can see, right now, the Germans have 17 flags and the Russians only have 15, meaning that we're going to lose this battle in 28 minutes. You may also notice as well that over on this right-hand side, we have a Phase A. Basically, whenever you're building an army, a battle group, you're going to have several units. There's 3 phases in the game. There's a Phase A, there's a Phase B, and there's a Phase C. Whenever you're building your army or you have a pre-existing one, basically, every 10 minutes is a phase. So you have Phase A in the first 10 minutes, Phase B in the next 10 minutes, and then obviously Phase C in the final 10 minutes. And whenever you're building your army, you can basically decide, okay, I want infantry in Phase A and Phase C. Now, they could be the same infantry, but if you bring them in later in the battle, you're going to get more of them. So it's kind of like a nice risk and reward system, where if you bring in a bunch of infantry towards the end of the game, you're going to have access to way more of them because you took that risk and you brought them towards the end. Vice versa, if you bring in, say, an IS-2, a really late game unit, towards the end of the beginning of the battle, you're only going to be able to get 1 or 2 of them in. Whereas if you bring that unit in towards the end of the battle, you're going to be getting 4 or 5 of them. So it's kind of like you can get units in early, but you're not going to be able to get as many of them as if you bring them in late. And you really have to try and balance that out as best as you can, because obviously if you do go ahead and not bring in enough in the early game, you're going to end up losing the battle. So right now we're in phase A, so everyone's kind of bringing on their initial units, a lot of infantry, a lot of kind of AT, not really a ton of armor. Saying that though, there is a Panzer IV moving up here, and this hill is going to be pretty scary, honestly, as we don't really have a lot of armor, as the Germans currently have the entire bridge line on our side, and they can bring in armor pretty freely. I mean, to be fair, we do have this bridge right now, so we could try and get some armor across, but obviously the Germans have a clear shot on that bridge with any AT guns they want in these forests, so we have to be very, very careful indeed. But yeah, right now, we can't cross any of this river. The Germans have this on lockdown right now, so it's very hard for us to get any armor across to support this position. We're really relying on artillery, and you can see there's a lot of artillery coming down, pinning down the enemy. So you may be wondering as well, what does this mean? Pin down, what does this red bar mean? Basically, this red bar is kind of like their stature to fight. If they are full red on this bar, you can see this unit is a little bit lower as well. So when this red bar is going up, your unit is fine. They can still fight and they can shoot at the enemy. As soon as they get pinned down, though, this is like if they're under heavy fire, if the artillery is raining down, they're going to start losing men very quickly, and they're going to be basically incapable of fighting. If they lift their head up, they will be killed. So they're basically pinned down. And what you can do is, if a unit is pinned down, you can run one of your friendly units to them, and then they will go ahead and rout them. So if you see any of the enemy units, I think I get a really nice surrender later on in this battle, you'll be able to see how effective it is. You want to basically pin down the enemy, run your infantry at them to force them to surrender, and then you can kind of knock them out the battlefield. Right now, though, we are still losing. Luckily, we're only missing out on a couple flags, which is pretty useful for us, because by only missing out on these couple flags, we are able to, you know, kind of slow this down. If the enemy really get a load more flags than us, this time will go down way faster, which is pretty scary. But right now, as you can see, the enemy are bringing up a half track right now, and we don't really have anything to deal with this, and our men, luckily, are in the forest, which is giving them a decent amount of protection. But this MG42 is just having a field day right now, and there's nothing we really have. I don't really have a lot of air in my division, which would have been pretty useful. But just due to the amount of soldiers they have, it's just super scary. So I'll go ahead and try and drop down some smoke as well, basically just to cover myself from that Panzer. One of the awesome things you can do as well is basically have it so that your artillery drops smoke, which is perfect for your advance. Right here, you'll be able to see it. I think, yeah, I just pinned down these flame troops before they go ahead and flame my entire unit, and then they surrender because they were completely pinned down. I think we're going to do the same over here as well. But you can already start to see just how, like, crazy this battle is going on. This is, like, such a small part of the overall engagement, but it is just so goddamn hectic. It really is. And, like, the fact that we can't get armor across here, the fact that there isn't really a good spot for artillery anywhere. You can see most of the artillery, like here, wouldn't even be able to see up onto that forest line because of the range or whatever. We really needed like heavy air support here. And obviously over here as well, there's no real way to be looking up on this hill. So we're really like kind of behind enemy lines. You can see the enemy are committing a lot to this right now, and are really pushing back our line. They've managed to secure this flag. Luckily, we have managed to completely take this town, though, which is pretty good. If you take a look at the overall battlefield, obviously half the battlefield basically going down the center. This is really where we've managed to secure the enemy position. We've got infantry pushing through this huge forest, but oh my god, the enemy do have a Tiger, which is moving in. Again, line of sight plays a big issue, so being able to maybe snipe this tank out is going to be pretty goddamn important, as it goes kind of in and out of fog of war. KV-1s should be able to pierce it, but might still struggle. There is some SUs as well moving up, so some nice tank destroyers. Dealing with that Tiger is very important. But as you can see, the enemy are, you know, taking a lot of these flags, which we really need to try and reclaim if we want to have a hope in hell of winning this battle. As more and more soldiers move in, you can see the enemy get closer and closer. They're actually pushing down some of their units right here as I just try and bring up some more soldiers, bringing my mortars back as well. It's really important to keep your mortars constantly moving position. It really is. You can see as well, I do also have an artillery piece over here as the enemy have a lot of soldiers. a couple Tigers over here, a Panzer IV as well, and just way more artillery coming in. So I definitely need to go and get some more AT. If we get some AT maybe in this forest here, they'll be able to cover that bridge, and if the enemy do try and pull across, it's going to be very, very important. Over on this side as well, it does seem like my ultimate cheeky with the PPSHs are bunkering down in here, taking a little bit of missile fire. But mainly just, you know, unable to deal with these guys. They're being shot at mainly by the MG42 and these guns that just have a bit more range. And the PPSHs just unfortunately don't have the range. You can see right here their range is 100 meters, whereas the MG42s, if you go down to a range of 750, so they're just basically shooting me. There's nothing much I can really do right there, and unfortunately, even in the forest, we are going to get pinned down. And you can see, yeah, our position is completely overrun, and we do actually end up surrendering that position. So the hill has been lost right now. However, I will not give up this hill lightly. We need this flag point, and we need to push it and take it so we can cut off the bridge, and then that basically prevents their armor from being here, and then we can hopefully maybe try push in here and take these positions. So as you can see, like already how important like this terrain is in the battle. Hills are so important because obviously there's a lot of open ground to get to cover on them. So basically charging them is very, very important. Luckily right now though, we do have a lot of artillery coming in. We really want to try and shell this position. They do also have some half tracks moving in to engage us. I don't think we really have much AT in the way there is a KV coming up, and I'm trying to push across a lot more infantry. And as I said, I don't think we have any real support whatsoever. I think our main goal, yeah, I'm bringing up some T-34s now and also another AT gunner as well. I definitely need to put more AT in my army, and luckily this Su-85 did manage to take them down, which is great. We also got some KVs you can just about see on that hill through line of sight over the trees, which is again a real big help indeed. So yeah, basically now that we've managed to deal with that, we need to push on. And again, there was a big mistake. The enemy trying to push us across this river without, you know, dedicated infantry or artillery support was really bad of them, because by moving down, they then finally came into this range. Because right now, we can't see basically any of this tank moving up. I'm going to try and get my AT gun, like maybe like somewhere here that can actually see it. But again, pushing it out in the open is a really bad idea. But yeah, we're basically just bombarding this position. We've got some aircraft moving in as well. Gonna drop a nice little cluster bomb on them, and luckily managed to get that self-propelled artillery as well. So as you can see, we've managed to kind of take down a decent amount of the enemy. You've got enemy flak trying to bomb us, but without much of the enemy units, it's actually not too bad. I'm just basically trying to reinforce this position, then get my soldiers to recounter this under the support of the artillery. Oh, a nice Panther being taken down right there. I think unfortunately one of the players didn't actually end up leaving the battle. But yeah, as you can see, like the end of this position right now these bridges are brutal. With line of sight down there, the T-34s and the AT guns basically got perfect line of sight down this position. They can really do some decent damage to the enemy line. Over on the right hand side, you can see the enemy are still pushing up, being very aggressive. You can see that this tank crew has actually bailed out under heavy fire, and they're starting to turn into a bit of a graveyard, as you can see. Yeah, moving across this bridge needs kind of a combined effort. They kind of need infantry to push in and take this kind of forest line right here. They need artillery to cover it, and you really have to kind of think about what you're doing. As well as that, I also have my AT gun here kind of covering the bridge, and unfortunately I'm bouncing off the Tiger's armor, but still doing some decent damage nonetheless. And kind of waiting for the next phase to really kick in so I can get a lot of soldiers. We also have some Katyusha rockets back here as well. And what you can see as well is that these guys need to be reinforced. So again, ammo is a really important thing. Every unit in the game has some form of ammo, whether it's machine gun shells, whether it's artillery, whether it's tank shells, whatever it is really important to kind of keep track of that. And you're going to need to bring in these supply trucks. These supply trucks will go ahead and give ammunition, weaponry to your units, and it's very important to keep your units stockpiled, because if they run out of ammunition, then they can't fight, and they can run out of ammunition on individual guns as well. So if I take, I've just got Automachiki here, but if we go back to maybe, do I have any Gavardia anywhere? Some sappers maybe? I don't know. I don't actually have any Gavardia. I've got Gavardia here. So for example, I could run out of PPSH ammo, but still have DP ammo raring to go. So again, we are preparing for a big push on this hill. You can see a massive artillery bombardment coming in here to kind of soften this up. And then I will be pushing across with my Automachiki. again, the Ultimate Cheeky are a great unit to really be aggressive and get themselves up on that hill. We've got 2 more units of the Sapper Infantry as well, who are, again, are a very good aggressive unit. I've got a T-34 that's going to be trying to push up here, but again, there's not really any good line of sight angles. Luckily, it means it's kind of good for me as well. It means there's no real line of sight for the enemy either. But yeah, as you can see, the artillery is coming in thick and fast, and this unit is pinned down. It's basically not going to move until, you know, they're just basically hands on head, hoping that they don't die. You can also fall back these units as well, which are always kind of you know, important thing to do. If you fall them back, they'll just run away and you won't be able to control them for a little bit, but they won't just die, which again is super important. So you can see right now as well, I'm actually bringing up a commander as well. This commander goes ahead and makes my rest of my units fight a lot better as they go ahead and cross the river, get themselves over that river, and then over on the other side. And then you'll see these stars. So these guys were originally a 1 veteran unit. Now these guys are going to be a 2-star unit, meaning they're just going to be that little bit better. They're gonna take longer to be pinned down. They're gonna be able to do more damage and a ton more. However, the timing right now, as soon as I started to move out in the open, these 2 half tracks came flying down, and they just have the perfect angle on my brave Russian soldiers who are just legging it across this open terrain. And you can see that unit at the back getting absolutely cut down. My main objective right now is just to get my ass inside of this terrain. As again, as you can see, there's not really a lot of line of sight here whatsoever. I'm thinking I'm moving a T-34 to try and get that little bit of line of sight over here. But right now, bringing in my bomber as well to try and help out as best as I can and just get my infantry in there. Luckily, the bomber came in, did some decent damage. Unfortunately, didn't get the fullback. Oh, I did get the fullback. Nice. Which is going to really prevent these guys from doing a lot of damage and buy myself some more time to get in here. So I'm now in the light forest. It's going to be offering me a good bit of protection. Also line of sight defenses as well. So I'm going to be able to hold this position for a little bit longer. Also with our constant bombardment as well, we're able to bring this down. But again, there is another tank moving up here. This looks like a tiger this time. And we just don't really have any way. Like, I don't have any real good anti-tank in my army besides... Oh, it's only a Panzer IV. Okay, it's not too bad. But yeah, I have no AT in these armies. I think these guys are some TNT, but I think they're mainly HE. So, oh, wow, look at that. What hit it? Did my AT gun get it? I think my AT gun might have got it. Because there's no way my T-34s would have been able to see that. Actually, maybe this T-34 could have seen it. No, this T-34 couldn't see it. Do I have an AT? I have this AT gun. Yeah, this AT gun right here, I think, managed to take it down. Actually, a really good AT gun. Very, very happy with that. A big explosion right there. I think the enemy just shot their lot of artillery, followed up by some cluster strikes as well. Yeah, just completely killing out my infantry there, which is fine. It's not the end of the world. We managed to take back this flag, and I also have 2 units of infantry up there. Obviously, you're going to need more infantry as the battle does go on. But as you can see, the minor defeat is still racking up on this right-hand side. Minor defeat in 15 minutes. We need to take back these flags, especially over on the left-hand side. This is what's really hurting us right now. The Germans are just entrenched in this position, really pushing on with kind of combined artillery and a ton of other support coming in. We need to really kind of take these positions, and we also really need to try and take back this bridge as well. The fact that they have the bridge is just really hurting us. Really is bad for us right now as the Germans continue to push across here as well. A lot of German divisions out in the open, just firing with artillery rounds just coming in. Look at that. The Germans are pounding this poor Russian village as more artillery goes flying back onto my hill off in the distance. That bridge is just a tank graveyard right now, as both sides really just try and reinforce. Yeah, unfortunately, none of these units can see this Stug up here whatsoever. And this Stug actually has, this Steam Tiger actually has a really good angle on my infantry coming in. Really good infantry range. If they want to, they could kill my men out of transports. So bringing up another 3 units of my sappers. We are now in the final phase of the game, phase C. So you're going to start to see everyone bringing in their big hitters. IS-2s are going to be, everywhere. Lots of infantry and a whole ton of other stuff. You can see all of a sudden, as soon as phase C hits, IS-2s coming in. Big old guns. Everyone starts getting kind of a reinforcement of way more soldiers. So my main goal right now is just to bombard this forest. Obviously, the enemy are in this forest, So my main goal is to kind of preemptively smash this. But I've got 3 units of sappers whose main goal will be to kind of put in here and basically to secure this position. I need to kind of push the enemy back off this hill. It also would not be a bad idea to, I don't know, this is just a really hard position to attack because we just can't really get armor up here whatsoever. Definitely maybe in future, I don't know, it's so hard. With the line of sight, this is really our only position to kind of cover the hill. But even then, it's kind of pretty difficult to, I guess I should have really utilized this part of the hill a bit more. You can see right there, I was able to actually rout one of the other enemy units. I also know as well, like, you can use this kind of battle line, the maneuvering position right here of the battle lines. You can kind of determine if you're running into enemy support or not if this battle line isn't shifting. Because right now, I know that there's a unit here. There has to be, otherwise this battle line will be thrown way back. So I'm basically just hunting it with my ultimate cheeky, waiting to run into them in the forest and hoping that I will take the enemy down. My units are on hunt mode. And there you go. They've actually run into the German unit, and these are some Panzer Grenadiers. But I should be able to take... actually, I'm getting slaughtered right now. That MG42 is ripping me apart. But I've got 3 more units ready to move in, and these guys should be a little bit more equipped with that machine gun. The TNT as well is great at clearing out the enemy infantry. And obviously, this unit has been bombarded pretty heavily. We also have 2 more units of some pretty elite German units. They've got the SD-42s right there as well. So some really good shock infantry. Luckily, we have actually managed to bomb them, though, which is going to keep them a little bit busy. And look at that as well. I think the Panzerfells... the Katyusha rockets going in and bombarding this hill, just giving me that bit more support on this position. Because if we can just secure this hill, then we can obviously quickly shift in and take the bridge and cut them off from that. Cut off their support in the city, with more infantry moving in as well. One of the crazy things as well I think I love about this game is, whenever you hit that new phase, obviously you end up getting a lot more units kind of stuck in, and which is great because whenever you hit the next phase, it's like, oh great, I get loads of units. However, it also means your opponent gets loads of units as well. So, whenever these new phases do hit, now obviously we're in the final phase, whenever the new phases do hit, all of a sudden it's, it gets pretty crazy as you just start to see all these Tigers and Panzers and stuff move in. One of the things I definitely do love about this game is the Russians just lose so many tanks here on that hill, is the fact that you can really customize your division and the rate at which you get points. You can specify how many points you want in a game when you're creating your division. So you can make it so that you get way more points to bring in units in the beginning of the battle in phase A and B, or you can go ahead and set it so that you get way more points. You get hardly any points in phase A, but you get an absolute ton in phase B and C, which is really nice. So you can basically kind of adjust your economy to how your armies are playing. So right now, I've got some pretty good M30s right here. They're obviously howitzer artillery pieces, doing some pretty decent damage at kind of covering me on this hill. I've also finally managed to claim this back. However, obviously the enemy support is really scary. One of the things I definitely should have done looking back on this battle is push in and secure this forest line. If I would have secured this forest line, it would have taken a lot for the enemy to actually break us out. This is dense forest, so it's pretty hard for enemy tanks and enemy armor to see us. And we'd really be threatening this bridge. So I should have definitely brought in a lot of infantry and taken this wood line sooner. There could have obviously been enemy infantry in there, but with some artillery rounds, with some smoke covering my advance, I definitely could have secured this. You can see right here as well, we've got a big artillery bombardment coming in, but again, oh my god, I think that's the Katyusha rockets right there. Just absolutely just raining hellfire down on the enemy position right there. Yeah, if you're not pinned down after that artillery bombardment, I don't know what to tell you. That was insane. It's still going as well, the artillery just coming in. Let me look at this position right now. So right now we're going to be getting some half tracks moving in as well, basically just trying to fall back and kind of secure all these positions. You can see this unit is just going to move around and basically just kind of make all these units surrounded. Yeah, look at that, they've all just surrendering. There is no cover left in this settlement. I don't think you can even call this a city anymore. That was absolutely insane. Fighting pretty... Oh, the Katyushas are shooting as well. Again, going to basically just be trying to clear out this kind of forest line right there, so that we can then push in and hopefully try and secure this position right now. Fighting's going on. Unfortunately, my sappers over on this side are running a little bit low on SVT ammo, which isn't good. You can see that kind of ammo symbol right there. But with kind of the combined artillery, you can see where we've managed to pin these guys down, which is pretty good. Lots more reinforcements moving in. I've got an IS-2 positioned right here. Again, can't really see much. You know, you can kind of cover this hill. And it's doing a pretty good job at covering that. You can see there's a handful of dead enemy armor. But for the most part, you know, this is a really hard position. I should have probably just positioned an IS-2 like up here, maybe somewhere like up here. Again, what's the range on the main turret of the IS-2? Can I see that? If I click this, the main turret, what's the range? 2,000 meters. Yeah, so sticking it up here would not have been probably the best idea in the world. Can I get rid of that if I click this? Yeah. So sticking it up here, 2,000 meters wouldn't really have done much with that line of sight. Maybe like somewhere. You can kind of see the difference of the 2,000 meters here as well. So like right here, then 2,000 meters wouldn't really have got me anything. And there's not really any line of sight, which wouldn't leave me really vulnerable to the enemy position. You see my ally as well has got a lot of his AT. Sorry, these are anti-aircraft guns. It's basically covering his position. A lot of anti-aircraft guns over on this other side. An absolute butt ton. And right now you can see my unit moving in here. We've managed to basically kind of pin this unit down. This unit of Automachiki are moving in to try and rout them. Push back their position once again. And there you go. Surrendering there, which is great. Unfortunately, though, this is very light for us. So I don't really want to leave as many units there. And I also need to get I need to get way more reinforcements up there. As I'm obviously out of points at the moment. But we need to get more infantry up here because we are looking very thin on the ground. Another unit of Automachiki going to make their way in. Here's also a Panzer 5/4 over here in a pretty good position in the forest. It's going to be hard for them to really get a flanking shot on this unit. Is obviously covering this entire road right there, shooting in incoming units as well, which is really huge as well. A lot of artillery. I think we shift a lot of our artillery over here to try and make this tank fall back. Obviously, our mortar shells aren't going to be able to rout this tank, but we might have a good opportunity of just making it fall back, move out of its position, which is very, very useful indeed. And after that huge bombardment, you can see the fighting going on. Lots of smoke as the Grenadier just run through that, engage the German forces in what remains of this once proud town. Unfortunately, both sides are really out in the open, so it is just a turkey shoot. And unfortunately, the Russians are not faring too well. They really need some reinforcements, whether it's armor or whatever. There's a few. I think there's a few houses still left remaining, but not really a lot. Obviously, a lot of artillery needs to be bombarding this as best as it can. Another tank, like a half track, would be very useful here as these Jaegers quickly make their way into the forest, which will actually give them some decent cover. Again, I think another player does end up giving up. Luckily as well, when the players do end up giving up in these battles, the AI does take over, so it's not the end of the world when players do give up. It's normally when they kind of just run out of way. And look at this beautiful pin down surrender. Just need to pin down this final unit, and we can actually make all these guys surrender. We've got artillery coming in. Come on, 1, 2, 3, 4. Beautiful job, Automachiki, before actually routing, as we actually get pinned down by the elite units of the Third Reich there. Some more infantry moving in, and we finally start to push up here. Look as well at these Schiffhold. I don't know how to pronounce that name, but look how many men are in that unit. 20 soldiers in this little group of infantry. That's super scary. That's a very, very big. I think this is like a naval unit. The artillery comes flying in. A lot of the guns aren't even in range right now. I think it's only the DPs that are really in. The enemy once again bringing up some more of these kind of scout vehicles. But as we've seen throughout this battle, we don't really have anything to deal with them, which is a real shame. Luckily, as you can see, I've really started to finally get into my Phase C units, and a lot of Grenadier are now making their way into the battle. We also have a half track being brought up. The T-34 is trying its best to shoot anything, but it doesn't really have any good range on them. But yeah, a lot of infantry now moving up, and we finally start to make our push here, realizing that the battle is looking pretty scary. We do actually have way more flags than the enemy as well, which is nice. Oh, there, you can actually see the people's divisions, and this is what I was talking about with the economy. So you can see if we go to me right now, so I'm Jackie Fish right here. So in my A phase, my income every single tick, which is I think a minute or two, I get 110 points to spend in my A phase. Whereas in my C phase, every kind of tick of the game, I get 175 points to go ahead and bring in more soldiers. So you can see I'm much more deadly in my later game than I am in my early game. I'm kind of curious why we're not... Yeah, you can see we are winning. It doesn't have a timer though for some reason, but we are slowly starting to trickle down the enemy surrender bar, which is nice. It's just obviously we're in a pretty kind of, you know, hard position. Completely taking back this hill, which is nice. It seems like over on this left-hand side, we have also managed to kind of push back the enemy, even though we are struggling over here. I think maybe where a few of our Russian allies surrendered, the AI is taking over and is maybe doing a little bit of a better job than our allies were. As the AI is a lot more aggressive than many players can be. Because I feel like in this game, as our artillery barrage comes down, I feel like a lot of players in this game don't realize, as that Tiger gets taken down nice, they don't really realize that the enemy are playing by the same rules you are. And what I mean by that is in a lot of these kind of heavy fog of war games, it can just feel like your opponent has absolutely everything. You know, they're killing your units and it's like, oh, God's sake, I've just lost this. I've got artillery, I've got AT, I've got tanks. But a lot of the time, as the Katyushas come flying in, a lot of the time, you know, when you kill 3-4 units of their infantry, that is going to hurt them, and I feel like a lot of newer players don't realize that. You know, when you kill units, the enemy don't have an infinite supply. They're playing by the exact same rules that you are, and if you get a big pocket, you kill a bunch of their tanks, that's going to really hamper them, and I think that's something that a lot of new players to this game need to understand, that your opponent doesn't have, you know, infinite soldiers, and that, you know, that when you do kind of push positions and you do kill tanks and you do, you know, surrender infantry, that really does hit them, and they can't just kind of come back willy-nilly hoping for the best. And my big push has been pretty successful right now. Unfortunately, this Tiger is set up. I'm not really sure what I'm bouncing off of it. I think maybe my IS? Do I have an AT gun here? I'm honestly not too sure what I'm even hitting them. I think I'm bouncing maybe artillery off of this Tiger. But yeah, as you can see, there's like really nothing to do right here. But my big push has been very successful. However, our opponents on this other side have gone for a huge tank push. Just look at this coming across. Now, this is really bad because if we had any air, like I don't really have any cluster bombs or anything, some air would absolutely demolish this tank column, but we just don't have it on this side. I don't really have a lot of air in my division, and I don't think my ally does either. So obviously in a 10v10, we'd really be hoping that our allies would be shifting some air over. You can see some artillery moving in. But yeah, this tank push is really scary because, as you can see, there's not really a lot over here. I'm bringing over the stew. We have an IS-2 coming up. There's one IS-2 about to have the fright of his life when he sees that coming round the corner. And this is really scary right now. These Panthers are obviously extremely heavily armored. And there's just nothing really standing in its way. And they have a lot of kind of open area now to cover. As I said, like this being this clumped up is really dangerous because air would take this down. There's obviously no anti-air guns supporting this because they pushed so far up. So it is pretty scary. But unfortunately, this IS-2 is going to have to really do its work. The artillery is obviously going to be bombarding this, trying to kind of cause panic. There's a lot of artillery coming in as well. I think I finally managed to get, yeah, this cluster bomb comes in and you can see how much damage this Yak is going to do. This Yak 98, I believe this is cluster. It's going to be able to fall back a lot of these tanks. Yeah, look at that. Boom. And that is why being that clumped up in a big Tiger push like that is bad. That is so many points that just got lost. And really what they should have done is they should have just kind of like, you split their tanks up across here, then brought a ton of infantry on this hill, and then pushed down. Obviously, then kind of reinforced with AT gun, like with anti-air guns up here as well. So you can really kind of start to see like how punishing it is to this game can be. But that was obviously really, really avoidable right there. and, you know, kind of doing that much of a daring push just lost them a lot of points. However, they're biding themselves time. They're almost kind of playing this game as if they don't really care. They just want to kind of win down. They win in 3 minutes if they hold these flags, and right now they've got 18 flags under their control. We've managed to really push up on our side though, which is nice. Obviously, we're not really taking too much of the brunt of the enemy assault. The enemy do have this flag back, but we have a lot of infantry stuck up here, a lot of Gavardia. We've also managed to push in and completely take this bridge, which is going to be cutting off a lot of the enemy armor. If they want to bring in armor, they have to go all the way back here. You can actually see we're actually pretty close to their spawn right now, but we've managed to push across, which is nice. That timer is ticking down, unfortunately. However, now that we've secured a really good bridgehead right here, like a really good bridgehead, we basically force the enemy as another tank comes flying up again. It's something that we find really hard to deal with. Another Tiger. I just don't have any good AT. But now we've secured this, I can maybe try and get an AT gun over here. But it's just that bridge, and maybe now that we've got this bridge back, maybe we can then start getting some armor in of ourselves over here, scattered in to really try and help this position. But luckily, I've just got a lot of infantry here now. Some sappers with TNT. I try to push my sappers up, but my opponent isn't stupid. He turns that gun to me, and yeah, my sappers are in a very bad situation right now, which is pretty scary. But all of a sudden, you can see like how big that push was, and how crazy and how unfortunate that has now gone for our opponent. Really, really useful right there. And you can see we've really managed to push across here, but still, we're just losing them flags. Our enemy are holding these positions down over on the left-hand side. Like, losing this position is catastrophic for us because we need them flag points, and we need them now. I believe I have some air moving out. Yeah, my air's moving out to try and deal with this Tiger. These guys should be enough to push them down as the enemy push in, trying to stop us. Luckily, their position is pretty overwhelmed, and with the artillery coming in as well, able to stop them in their tracks. There you go. 2 kind of hits in. Unfortunately, only able to fool this Tiger back, but it's worth it. We need to get this Tiger out of there to kind of really reinforce this. And even with the AT gun coming in, I think I was able to get both my planes out of there. The enemy hill looking very scary, though, with all these Tigers still situated up here. Luckily, though, we are going for a big push right now. Lots of Gavardia. We're going to try our best with the cluster bombs to support of our allies. Yeah, I don't know where this guy is situated on the map, but him reinforcing this is absolutely huge. Again, the enemy positions are unfortunately not able to take these guys down, dropping his bombs a little bit too early. Too much flak supporting this. And that's what I'm saying, like, our flak wouldn't have been able to get this if they had pushed up their flak right there. We would not have been able to kill that massive kind of combined operations. But as you can see, I feel pretty confident right now on our hill. Obviously, cutting this position has been very, very useful. We've managed to really secure this. Unfortunately, that flag is still under their control, but something we should be taking back very quickly. We need to. Only a minute left to win this battle, and we are really having to go all out. There is no reason to hold anything back now. If we don't take this flag back now, we lose the battlefield. My ally is pushing off under heavy artillery. I think the Katyushas came in here and managed to fall back these tanks, meaning they're not shooting, which is biding all this infantry time just to rush across this hill. And it's obviously going to be really bad for the motorized division that we've been fighting. And you can see the enemy under that Katyusha rocket fire has now completely fallen back. Another Katyusha volley coming in as well. It's basically trying to keep these guys out the fight so this infantry can get into this forest. I'm also going to be coming across here as well with everything I've got. And we're just really going all out now. Luckily, we managed to tie the battle as well. I think we managed to, I haven't actually secured this back, but I think our allies over here have really pushed in now. This, heavy fighting has been pretty insane, but I think these tanks are now rolling through the derelict city, able to kind of take what is theirs with the heavy machine gun moving in, and we're just, as you see, going on a full-out offensive, because if we end up losing some flags, they're going to come in a very big advantage, and you can see the enemy immediately moving in here. A lot of these flame weaponry as well. These are great. These basically one-shot infantry if they can get a clean line of sight on them. Obviously, it's quite hard to do so, and they're really close range, so they're very easy to take out. But on a position like this, the flame trucks are amazing. A lot more infantry being moved up as well. We're going to need to be very careful here. There is also a flak gun here as well. Flak is obviously amazing at killing infantry as well. It really is. So a big push on my side. However, we are really going hard here. After all them kills, we've killed, I don't know, about 10 Tigers, about 10 Panzer IVs on this side, about 5 or 6 Panthers. the enemy are not going to have a lot of, you know, a lot of points left to spend on anything else, which is pretty huge. Unfortunately, though, we don't really have a lot left to deal with this. I'm trying to push over here, and luckily, my IS has managed to take that down. But just look how quickly this unit dies to that flame volley. Yeah, very, very quickly. Pinned down, and then they're basically just done for. And again, there's no real vision. Again, I guess I could try and maybe stick something here. But just be really careful. So currently, these flame trucks are doing some pretty insane work right now on us. Even under all our artillery, they're able to push in. More of our yaks kind of pushing in here. The enemy counter-offensive was strong enough to move in here and take back this bridgehead. But luckily, we are pushing in. We managed to kind of take flags back from them. We just really need to not lose a flag, basically. As well as that as well, there is an overarching kind of timer going on as well. I think every battle only lasts an hour at most. So if you do end up, you know, basically being in a stalemate, you will end up, you know, the time will end up running out, and obviously the Germans will win. So the battle isn't looking good for us right now. Or maybe it's a draw. I'm actually not sure. Actually, I think it's a draw if the time runs out and no one does get a decisive victory. Right now, though, you can see that my infantry just don't really stand a chance right now. We need more air support. We need more artillery. I've got another 5 units of Gavardia about to come up here, so another 50 men to try and reinforce this. I just don't have a way to deal with this without support from my allies. Luckily, that support is being founded, and the heavier artillery shells can really find this. You can also see we are going on an all-out offensive here. I've got 2 units of Gavardia moving into the forest. Unfortunately, we are fighting heavy shock infantry from the Germans. These guys have 4 MP44s and an MG42 as well, with some HE grenades. But pushing into this forest is basically trying to support my ally as much as I can. We need to take these flags. Look how close this battle is to being lost right now. If the Germans take 1 more flag anywhere, or 2 more flags now, they will win the day. So we cannot afford to lose anything across the front. They've taken this flag back as well. 1 more flag and they literally just win the day right now, which we cannot have happen. I'm finally, now that we've got this bridge, I'm finally moving my armor across this position, which is so nice to finally be able to get armor across this river and to support my hill. You can see, obviously, another heavy artillery bombardment, and now our infantry are moving up once again. Unfortunately, we have lost this, which is a real shame. The enemy are just moving in with anything they've got, taking back this position right now. Again, 1 more flag. We've literally got about 4 seconds left on our timer. You'll see it as soon as this kind of, they take a flag, or if they take a flag, you'll see immediately this timer start to tick down again. So I honestly need to try and take this position back as quickly as possible. Luckily, I've managed to cut kind of a pretty big hole into the enemy transport inside the settlement. So, you know, Gavardia will be holding our position right there. I've got a T-34 moving on. Finally, my T-34s I've got over here. And I can finally get on this hill and start to support down, which is really nice. Obviously, with constant artillery support there, that Panther came in. I think I might have actually managed to kill a Panther. But unfortunately, they take back that last flag and claim victory. We end up losing that battlefield. And the Germans win a pretty minor victory, I would say. Yeah, you can see right there, a minor victory. But still a victory. I managed to win. But yeah, my God, like, how intense was that battle, guys? Like, am I just crazy? Like, that was insane. There was so much going on. And I think that can be very overwhelming for players, and probably why this game isn't played more. But I think once you start playing a couple battles, you really get the hang of it. And, you know, in these 10v10s, it doesn't really matter if you're the best player in the world, because you got 9 other people, and, you know, I'm sure, you know, the enemy team will have just as, you know, so a handful of people who don't know the game as well. So, you know, I feel like in these 10v10s, they're very noob friendly, because you can just kind of have fun, get a good idea of the game, and instead of fighting in these kind of sweaty 1v1s or 1v2s. And there is also a campaign as well, with, you know, battles against the AI as you go over and you play through these Russian offensives, which are really awesome. So if we take a look at the kills, you can see I did pretty good over on our side of things. I was like middle of the team. I got 2,700 kills, so almost the most kills besides Jon Snow, who got a few more kills, and a few of our allies right here. Oh my God, this guy got 3,900 kills. not bad whatsoever. And obviously Lozums and this guy doing the worst as well, losing a handful. I also did lose a decent amount over on the German side of things as well. You can see that, you know, they got a few big boy kills as well, and a few bad boy kills. You can see like the team is pretty even across the board, and this was just a random match. Like we had a couple of really good players, they had a couple of really good players, and so on. If you wanted to also take a look at the kills as well, you can see what happened and what got what kills. So right now, like this gun right here got all of these kills, which is pretty insane. This T-34 got all of these kills, which is pretty insane. You can see my losses as well when I like what killed all my stuff, and it's mainly just tanks that killed me, as I was unable to really deal with that. But yeah, overall a minor defeat, still super fun. You know, losing didn't feel like losing because that was just such a fun battle. And hopefully you guys enjoyed this. If you did, make sure you drop a like and a comment down below. I would love to do maybe more Steel Division here and there. There has been talks as well with Republic of Play about doing an Army General campaign, which could be a ton of fun. But yeah, I don't know. If it is this game you want to see on the channel a little bit more often, not every day, not every week, but you know, here and there whenever I have a good battle, let me know in the comments down below, and I'll see you guys in the next one.